has failed to establish a violent conspiracy that involves an anti-family, so that at this point you would say that any co-conspirator hearsay statements should not be admissible, because the court is, I'm sure the court is aware that the contents of the statements cannot be used in determining if there is a conspiracy, and at this point it would be our position that they have failed to do so. That's our first objection, Your Honor. Do you want to move or move on to the second?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Do you want to wait for you to move before I move on to the second topic?
certainly.
The second topic, Judge, is I'm just asking, I'll do a for a tennis motion to compel in terms of if the state is aware of any change in testimony by Mr. Rivera in terms of what he's going to testify today. If they're aware of any statements that have changed, they are under an obligation under the rules of discovery to let us know before he takes the stand. So I would just ask if they are aware of any, they just let us know before he testifies, and that's the second thing.
Captain, to the second issue.
The second issue, I'm aware of my continuing discovery obligation and my obligations under Brady, and I'm not aware of any new items to disclose at this time.
Okay. And let me say, counsel, when we break, I always ask if there are any issues from you. What I want you to do is bring up issues then, so we don't have the jury sitting back there waiting on us. The idea is we'll use our time to resolve issues while the jury's taking a break. So let's try to abide by that. If you have an issue, you know who's next. Let's take it up at the end of the testimony before we take a break while the jury's having their break. Let's have Mr. Rivera in, please.
Well, that is a good song. You have a speech in prison. I don't know if you could hear that, but the judge sounds like he's slurring his words. And the bad boys are in form.
You face the clerk to raise your right hand and please work, please, sir. Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please, sir. You may proceed, Mr. Captain.
Bad boys are in form.
Sir, please say your name and spell your name.
Louis Rivera.
Slide forward a little closer to the microphone, please, sir.
Louis Rivera. L-I-U-S-R-I-V-E-R-A.
How old are you, Mr. Rivera?
36.
Are you currently incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am.
And where are you currently incarcerated?
And I'm in the feds.
At the feds?
Federal prison.
Okay. And are you serving a sentence currently for both this case and an unrelated federal case?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you plead to in this case that we're here about today?
19 years.
All right, but what charge did you plead to?
Second degree murder.
All right, 19 years in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're serving that concurrent with your federal sentence?
Yes, ma'am.
How long is the federal sentence?
12 and a half.
All right. And
Time on top of
what
time is.
did you have to do in exchange for your 19-year sentence in this case?
Cooperate.
All right.
I don't know if somebody can put this on. Every time we move this thing, it's not good.
And Mr. Rivera, if you could pull up just a little bit closer.
I mean, I didn't have a comment on that.
Yes, sir.
Say something.
All right, Mr. Rivera, you said that you had to cooperate in exchange for the testimony.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what does cooperate mean to you?
Say nothing but the truth.
Has anybody told you what to say?
No, ma'am.
Anybody tried to tell you what the truth is?
No, ma'am.
Anybody tried to tell you any particular fact you need to include in your testimony in order to get,
Not at all.
okay, in order to get anything,
No, ma'am.
any benefit?
No, ma'am.
Did I ever have any private meetings with you before you decided to cooperate with law
Not
enforcement?
at all.
Did you have an attorney to represent you through the process where you cooperated and entered a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your lawyers ever tell you what you needed to say to get a
No,
deal?
ma'am.
Were you ever told that you had to implicate a specific person in order to get cooperation in this case?
No, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything other than what we just discussed, the 19 years concurrent with the federal sentence?
No, ma'am.
Have you been promised anything on your federal case in exchange for your testimony here today?
Not at all.
Were you already serving a sentence on the federal case when law enforcement first came to talk to you about this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And you also have pending violations of probation out of Miami, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
For possession of a firearm by a convicted felon?
Yes, ma'am.
So you have not.
Right. So if you look on the screen, so you can see the directional button. You can see the directional button there. Yeah. So you can see the commands. The commands are fine, innit? So I just took a picture of my screen. Yeah. I'm gonna enlarge the video here. And I just took a picture. I just took a picture of the screen too. Right. What does that look like? Yeah. So you can see subsidy, or you can see the screen anywhere. It says anywhere hairline fracture. Yeah. Does it not look like forward down 3 times? It looks like forward down 3 times. So why somebody has added some sort of augmented reality to my phone camera? So we'll Google what augmented means. So some cunt has gone and put augmented reality on my phone screen. I'll never cooperate with you, man. Not for love nor money, but I'd rather do 1,000 years, pussy. Because whoever is doing, that's law enforcement's job to find out why would they do such a thing. I never cooperate with you, man. Playing on board. I'd rather die, bro. You're mad. I'd rather tell you to suck your white mother a million times English pussy. I'm not scared of you. Excuse me, I'm not afraid of none of you white people, bro. It's clear as day, them 3 buttons that don't look the same like what's on the screen. So how do you spell augmented? Augmented. Oh, it's AUG. Oh, yeah, I don't like you, man, dude. Trust me. Your government is gonna have a hard time in that court, man. They say who's doing all that? You man try to play a game here, man. Y'all will never win this game, bro. I say turn up with anybody you want to turn up with. I've got all the evidence against the fucking NHS, yeah, to say yeah, you people are trying to play mind games because you have been lying to the public and you don't want to go to prison. So instead of going to prison, you are trying to play mental and psychological games with me to try and confuse me, twist me up, and put me in a poor state of mental health. You ain't never winning that, bro. So make sure when you go to your judge or you go get any warrant here, whether police or NHS or any fucker who you are, ensure that you tell them that, well, we were doing this to him, to be honest, and see what the judge says. Make sure you do that too. So, augmented reality (AR) is an interactive experience that combines the real world and computer generated content. The content can span multiple sensory modalities, include visual, auditory, haptic, somatosensory, and olfactory. AI can be defined as a system that incorporates 3 basic features. In virtual reality, the user perception of reality is completely based on the virtual information. In augmented reality, the AR, the user is provided with additional computer-generated information within the data collected. Yeah. So, i.e., you have virtual reality. So, virtual reality is basically it doesn't necessarily has to be a computer. Let us get that straight. They've defined it as computer-based stuff. But a virtual reality is any reality that was created for a purpose and somebody experienced it. So, i.e., a woman who wants to steal your money, she will come and pretend to be in love with you pretend to lie. You have 16 kids by you, and every one of them 16 kids she tries child support, and then after that she divorces you and take 4/5 of your money. So that's a form of virtual reality because she was the controller of the experience. She was the controller and creator. She created that whole fucking life for you, yeah? And you were just experiencing the life based on what she, as the creator, wanted you to experience, i.e., fucking lie to you and manipulate you. So another word for virtual reality is manipulation. Virtual usually is computer orientated. Simple. But long before computer orientation came in, the context, the yeah, that's the word I'd use. The context or the idea was implemented from like the 1960s, somewhere around when this guy made this massive computer that did it. So since around the 1960s, in fucking places like this, these men have been fucking around with this whole VR thing. Isn't it? It's not a new thing. Yeah, the VR is a physical manifestation of the fucking idea, if that makes sense. Yeah, the VR is a physical manifestation of the idea. Yeah, so if you ever watch the Truman Show, yeah, with Jim Carrey, that's what virtual reality is. The whole fucking thing that he live. Take out the idea that he's on some island and he doesn't know, and take that out of it. That's the movie principle. Innit? But if you look at the basic principle of that, yeah, he lived a virtual reality world. So you go on GTA, you're running around banging guns, stealing cars, and then chased by the police. You know what I mean? That whole sort of idea, yeah, that is virtual reality, yeah. Because you couldn't do all half of them things and live. You know what I mean? So life wouldn't allow it. Life itself would at some point stop for you if you lived a life like that. Well, that's virtual reality. It's a physical manifestation of a real life concept where say 10 people can come and surround an individual, pretend to be that person's friend, family, and they all play a specific role within that person's life and that shapes that person's reality. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Virtual reality, They all come around and play these specific roles and shapes that individual's perception of fucking reality. Because what is reality? Reality is what you're being told. Reality is culture. Reality is not what you see, is what you hear. Yeah. You look at this building. Yeah. Who the fuck said it was a building? Some cunt 19 years ago, 1900 years ago, created the word building. And now everybody on the planet, what do we call it? A building. You know what I mean? Is it actually a building or did somebody you grew up hearing somebody say it's a building? Your teacher told you that it's a building. So virtual reality. We all live some sort of virtual reality because we don't know what these things are. We are just told what they are. So if you look at that from a point of view of basic school, when they go to basic school, they teach you A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yeah? How the fuck do you know that that's what the letters are called? Nobody knows what they're called. You're told these things. So that's a form of virtual reality. So you can see how the principle really works. So if a group of 10 people come around you, or you come to England, these 10 people, they had a plan when you came to England and they all infiltrated your life. They all, stop that, they all infiltrated your life and they all played a role. Some played the role of a friend, some played the role of sexual partners, some played the role of family members. The moment you question that, what are they going to say about you? You're mentally ill. That's the man. That's how easy it is to do that to somebody and then cover it up as mental illness. That's it. It's too easy. The principle. That's all you need is the principle to prove it. And I dare some white man out there who thinks he's more clever than me to deny that possibility. I mean, good. What are they going to say? The moment you are an orphan, yeah, and as an orphan, your granddad left you an inheritance. You don't fucking know that this inheritance exists Alright, cool, yeah? A bunch of people is aware that this inheritance exists. In England, I don't know about nobody where else, it probably happens in other places, but it would probably go down a bit different. But I've seen stories where people, wealthy people, and they get old and they don't have any family, they get carers into their lives, and they'll leave their money or a large sum of it to the carer. Yeah, they leave this large sum of money to this person who was already paid to look after them. They were looking after them out of the goodness of their heart. They were paid to do it, yeah? And that individual dies and put that carer into their will. It happens quite a lot. Virtual reality. They didn't act like a carer. What they acted like was a confidant, a friend, and everything else, i.e., they had an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. You know? They had an ulterior motive on the subject. And when you look at it from that point of view, you can argue that some of their intention was to put that person into that position to feel empathy for them while they manipulated that person into believing they gave a shit and they really scammed them into feeling like, oh, they're loved by this individual. Because what's to stop you from just pretending to like or love someone? What really stops you? There's nothing that stops you. There's no legal framework about pretending to love somebody because it wouldn't make sense. Yeah, it can be done, but it just wouldn't make sense. Yeah, so you can see where a lot of old people without actual relatives who are actually wealthy, carers come into their life, and they will obviously at some point know that this person has a lot of fucking money. And what they'll do, they'll pretend to be nice and they'll never get angry, they'll laugh, they'll go out of their way to create this experience. Because the word experience, the very word, virtual reality. So you can see before VR came in, VR is not the goggles, the whatever that fucking thing that they create. It's not the Nintendo Wii and the PlayStation and it's not that. That's not what VR is. Any created experience is virtual fucking reality. Yeah. So these little cunts here who think they're so superior and so clever, they got caught out in a way that they couldn't dream to be caught like that. You know what I mean? They could not fucking dream to be caught in such a way. Yeah. Because if you are not recording every single fucking interaction you have, yeah, and nobody does that. The amount of the amount of shit that you have to you get me. Not even the government can record every interaction. You know what I mean? It's impossible. So guess what? What you call that? A blind spot. So i.e. some fucking nurse comes. That nurse is really your registered nurse, your mental health nurse. You don't have a clue that who this bitch is. She comes into your life and now she's sucking your dick crazy, bro. She's doing the most. And you're falling in love with this person. Yeah? Boom. Alright. You start getting suspicious of her. All of a sudden, you're having clear NHS people knocking at your door. Bam, bam, bam. And you're like, wait, what? And then they go, oh, rah, rah, rah. If there's been complaints, they're concerned. So the nurse gave you the experience of a lover. So they have what you call occupational therapy. Yeah? She gave you the experience of a lover. Cool. Yeah, because everyone wants to be loved. Cool. You then start saying, oh, you were fucking this fucking woman. What is she going to say? She's going to say, no, you're mentally ill. You're imagining stuff. You're delusional. You know that happened, but they're going to say that it didn't happen. Where does that leave you? Because you now have a team of people denying that ever happened. You have a team of people who on paper have been watching you and this woman have been your nurse. Yeah. So why would you imagine fucking her? You would have raped her. You know what I mean? So if you were so deep in your illusion, you would have raped this woman, wouldn't you? You would not have believed that you just had sex with her because fantasies don't work like that. You fantasize about an act. You don't fantasize about doing the act, if that makes sense. So you'll fantasize about fucking, which would lead to you either pursuing fucking or, I guess, doing it against the person's will. Yeah? These people know that that's how it will be looked at. I say, no, 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 no. It wouldn't. But we see police officers sleeping with prisoners all the time. We fucking see it all the time. We see teachers sleeping with students. We see these things happen all the fucking time. But it's different when it's mental health stuff. They're automatically going to fuck with you because guess what? Before most people won't stick to their guns and be adamant that these things were exactly taking place, they'll eventually be broken down because guess what? You're being told that it's not real. You're being told that you're imagining. You are going to eventually have your defensive weakened over a period of time. You're now going to be vulnerable and questioning your sanity yourself. Did this actually happen? Because a bunch of people are telling you that it didn't happen. It was made up. It was made up. It was made up. And that's all they have to do. They just have to keep repeating the same stuff. Guess what? You're still in that virtual world. It really did happen, but now they are using that virtual world to tell you that you are imagining all of this stuff. And if you ain't built like a rock out here, you know what I mean? If you are not the pillars of fucking Rome, if you are not the rock that Jesus built the fucking house upon, you are going to obviously break. Well, I am the pillars, my friend. You know what I mean? That's what you need to understand. Virtual reality is not a new thing. They just computerized it and slapped the label VR on it. Another word, or what it was in its primitive stage before technology became what it is, experience. Yeah, it's what do you call it? Etymology. Yes. So it's a way how they change meaning and things over time. So what was known as a basic experience now, when you put on a VR headset, what does it do? It allows you to do things that you couldn't do in real life, doesn't it? Yeah. Guess what? A man wins the lotto tomorrow. Now he starts taking trips, being on fancy boats, fancy parties, driving fucking expensive Range Rovers and you know what I mean what and BMWs and wearing Nikes and you know what I mean going to pro tournaments. Guess what? He's unlocked a fucking VR world in Grand Theft Auto. What is the principle of Grand Theft Auto? Being broke and then having money. And you know, it's the more money you get in Grand Theft Auto, is the bigger jobs you get to do. The bigger jobs lead to bigger experiences. You went from some little hood nigga to now jumping out of plane, fucking robbing cars. What is Fast and the Furious? Fast and the Furious went from street racing to virtual reality. They now unlock a different part of the world because what? They now had a reputation and money, so they now unlocked a different experience. Because first they were just some little street racers who just the love of car, the love of this. Everyone started to complain, say Fast and the Furious is gone crazy and rare. No, but the reality is it's not telling it. It's not a street racer's point of view. What it is an experience point of view. It's VR, virtual fucking reality. So Dom, Paul Walker, the whole team, they went from just racing on a night and you for money to now what did they what the second one to being involved in police stings. Guess what? Now they're in the criminal world and the police world simultaneously, yeah? They went from that being wanted to running off to some next country doing the same thing. So they the more they every time, every it's after every movie they every movie the experience got more wilder and wilder. Till these men started jumping out of fucking planes and cars. Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto would work the same way. You go from some little fucking guy in the hood. Guess what? You're not born into wealth and power. Them man experience it from day one. That's their experience of this world. Yeah? You break out of the hood, you gain a little traction, a little money. Now you start getting bigger things, bigger things. So they went from street racers running from the police, taking each other's money, gambling, who wins the race, to driving fucking £5 million cars out of the Dubai Eye in the richest building. I mean, so you see the elevation there, how the experience changed for the specific group. It doesn't work out like that for everybody, obviously. The majority of us die or go to prison before we get to that. Yeah. So in GTA, it's the same concept. We are all playing the characters experience, or we're all experiencing virtual reality. That the hood nigga went from being down here, you know what I mean, started in the hood, to elevating. Now he's doing fucking shit that spies do, shit that you hear in movies. So most of us die in that process. Most of us go to prison in that process. Yeah? Or most of us stay as fucking shitty informers in that process. Most of us go to church. Most of us change like that. You get me? Most of us have a family. That's the general experience for people in certain backgrounds, financial class. That's the general experience. But the team from Fast and the Furious, they're talking about the anomaly out of the law. Yeah, that's why the movie kept on escalating. You know, it's Grand Theft Auto. Every single Grand Theft Auto, the character starts from the bottom with no money. You start with zero in your account, and as you build that money up, the experience you are having in the game is getting wilder and wilder and wilder. When you now have as much money as you want, what do you have? Now you start driving tanks, now you start driving planes, now you have five, six different apartments, now you have 18 cars. Now you get me, the experience is changing. It teaches us something that it's a controlled experience, virtual reality. So augmented reality, to augment something. Well, I don't know what the technical definition of augmented really is, but if you them little cameras that you put in your house, and they put like the design and decoration in the house, that's augmented, because it really does mean manipulate in some way, because obviously in that empty room nothing is there. The camera places things in the room and show you what the room can be like. Augmented reality. You know what I mean? So it's really a manipulation of reality to augment something, you know what I mean? Is to change what the reality of the situation is. So you combine augmented reality and you combine virtual reality together and do that to a person, what do you get? Fucked. What do you get? You get fucked, innit? Because the virtual reality is a created experience in general. Yeah, it has to be created because it says virtual. They associate with computers. But if you take the virtual out and you have created experiences. So when Hollywood, I don't know what they call the British film industry. Well, I guess these guys are kind of boring over here, so they would just call it the British film industry. I mean, they don't give it a fancy name like Bollywood and Hollywood because they try to be like they're better than everybody else. I mean, these are how these guys behave. So, in the British film industry, you are hired, you are the star man, yeah, okay, and you get a script, yeah. Everybody around you has a role to play into producing the film. Everybody has a script. So in the Truman Show, what that taught you was, so imagine, what's it called, Sean Connery, James Bond, and obviously he has his own script on the movie he's acting. Cool. Imagine if Sean Connery wasn't given a script. Imagine if Sean Connery did not know he was on a fucking film set, but everybody else had a script and knew that they were on a film set. What would Sean Connery's experience be? He would think all these things are real. He would fucking think it. Him living this ostentatious life, um, grabbing onto the side of train, shooting down helicopters. He would think all of this was fucking real, and it was all prepared for him. Everybody else had a script. Everybody else did the lighting, did the music, did the rain, But because he didn't get a script, he was not told that this is not real and it's a movie. He believes it's real. Okay, cool. After the movie ends, he does not know it's real still. He finally think, wait, what the fuck was going on there, yeah? And start telling these what are people gonna say? People gonna say it's mentally ill. Simple. The Truman Show, yeah. The Truman Show was what word the word was context, yeah. It was so the idea of the Matrix, yeah. Not the Matrix, the film, even the Matrix, the film, and the Truman Show is talking about an idea. Yeah, I mean, it's not talking about fucking flying monsters trying to shoot you down, blah. It's not talking about that. It's talking about the virtual reality. It's talking about experience. So before computers came in, we had the word experience. So virtual reality, guess what? What do? We experience reality. What do they call it? Virtual reality. These little cunts think they're smart because instead of calling it, oh, virtual experience, that don't sound good, you know what I mean? What do they call it? Virtual reality. What is virtual? Who creates the virtual reality? Somebody writes the script. Somebody codes the script. So you see in the Matrix, when you see them little green numbers going up and down, it's coding. Somebody's coding the goddamn thing. Yeah? When you see the little numbers going up on the matrix, they were coding the fucking experience for that person. Yeah? So when you look at it from that point of view, they even think they're so clever because it's just giving you a context. Yeah? It's not saying that men are out here flying and dodging bullets and there's 19 million Mr. Anderson that can just morph. No, no, no. It's just talking about context. So movies are fucking educational entertainment because you could just go and watch a documentary if you didn't want to be entertained, wouldn't you? It's the same fucking thing. It's educational media. It teaches us about concepts, yeah, while entertaining us because majority of us have small attention span. Who doesn't have ADD, ADHD, have a small as attention deficit disorder, these sort of things. Quite a lot of people are like that. So it's hard to teach people like that, yeah, because disrupted people in classrooms, they're usually as a result of one of them stuff. They cannot focus on what is being said. Some people can, some people can't. Usually they try to say that you're a disruptive person. Yeah. So in school, I don't want to go off on a different tangent. In school, they'll say people are disruptive and chase that person out of the class. That person is always getting in trouble. Rah, rah, rah. You see, back in the day, the teachers did not know about ADHD and all these things. So they'll just whip your ass and target you and say, oh, you're always giving trouble. They eventually worked out that too many kids behave like this and there must be a pattern or a reason. Yeah. Obviously, a child with ADHD has a different experience than somebody who doesn't. Somebody who doesn't can just go and sit in that classroom, listen to what is being said, whether they can understand what is being said really doesn't matter, but they'll behave a lot different. A child with autism, his experience of the world is completely different. Yeah. So when you put on a fucking headset, a VR headset, what does it give you? It gives you a different experience of the world. If you play what's that game called? Assassin's Creed. Yeah. If you go and play Assassin's Creed in a virtual headset, you're gonna be jumping off buildings and flying and jumping in. You get me? The experience is going to be wild in your mind, isn't it? Because that's where experience really comes from. You just jumping in some expensive Ferrari. It means nothing really, doesn't it? It's just another vehicle on four wheels. But when you understand that experience, oh shit, I'm driving a Ferrari, guess what? You're gonna drive that car faster than you drive your little MG Rover, aren't you? You know what I mean? You jump in a Range Rover, you're gonna be kicking back and you know what I mean, warm seats and all that around you. The experience, each one of these level of vehicles gives you a different experience. That's why you have $3 million fucking cars for a reason. That's why you can go down to your local dealer and buy a car for £500 or you can go to some exotic shop and buy a car for £5 million. All experiences. Your budget determines your experience. They've long figured these things out, that your budget determines your experience in this world. The man with the most money does not face adversity. He creates adversity for a reason, because he understands the experience. Virtual reality is the computer version of experiencing reality. You know what I mean? So, like you say, a lot of carers target people, old people who have money, and they give them a virtual experience. But because it's not computerized, you have to take out the virtual and say an experience reality. Yeah, a created experience, virtual reality, augmented reality. It will completely destroy you. Anyone that doesn't know that that's what they're looking at. You understand what I'm saying? So some cunt, yeah, creates a virtual experience for you, or experience reality for you, and then he augments the truth. So, i.e., moms, dads, yeah, people who have been adopted, they don't know that they're adopted until something happens, some crisis happens, and somebody says, "Oh, they're not your parents," or whatever happens, you figure it out. You were living a virtual reality. You weren't living. You were living a lie, something that's not real. All your life, you felt these people were your parents. It turned out that they weren't. We see these things happen. These things happen all the time. So if somebody can adopt you and lie to you in that way, what would the people who I guess have PhDs and degrees and expertise in psychology, what would they do to somebody? How what would they could fuck up somebody really terribly. Because if basic people can lie to you for 18 years, but you see them stories about people going to find their mothers after 18 years, find their fathers, find their long lost brothers and cousins. For 18 years, they lived their fucking life. So you can see if basic people can do that to somebody, what can people who are versed in psychology do? They would tear you apart. And guess what? Even if you're strong enough to, and you figure out what's going on, what they're gonna do next? They're gonna just say you're crazy. Because not only they're gonna write down lies on that paper, they've been writing down lies about you the whole fucking time. Because just in case, it's called a fail-safe plan. Just in case you manage to figure it out, then paperwork would have been lied. So, i.e., you fucking this girl is a part of your experience, because they are trying to research and see if they can create a whole life for somebody, and to see if how the person would behave. How you think they got cognitive behavioral therapy? How do you think they figure these things out? You think they go and pay some guy £100 an hour to sit in a room and they run tests on him? No. They're out here controlling an individual's whole fucking life, man. You get me? Guess what? You're an orphan. Who's going to miss you as an orphan? Because you'd have never been an orphan if you had any family who gave a shit. So if you're an orphan, guess what? You're state property. Plain and simple. You become state property. Now the state can do whatever it feels with you. The state can fucking lie to you, give you a false family, and give you false relationships. They can do all this in plain sight, and nobody will ever notice why. Because what they're gonna say about you, they're gonna anybody that ever pays too much attention, they're gonna tell them some sort of story. They're either gonna tell them that you're a bad person, or you're under some form of investigation. They're never going to say, well, technically, we took this kid out of an orphanage, told him that these people were his family and friends, and his whole life he believed it. And now, basically, he's suspicious, and they're not going to tell you people that on it, because people would disagree with that. People would hate them for it, and it would become a massive problem. So you can see where virtual reality isn't no innovation by no little brilliant white guy from England or wherever the fuck they want to say they come from. It's not that. It's a manifestation of shit they've been doing for a fucking time. If you watch Shutter's Island, that was what Shutter's Island was. If you ever watched that film, Shutter's Island, This guy thought he was a police officer. Yeah? And at the end of the film, we still did not know if he was really a police officer or he was just mentally being manipulated. The film, that's not even a cliffhanger. Yeah? That's not even a fucking cliffhanger. Because I've watched Shutter Island a million times and I still can't work out what the truth is. You get me in it. And as the viewer, right, as the viewer, you can watch that over and over. And I can't tell what the truth is in Shutter Island because with the way they ended it, yeah. So the story about Shutter, it started with Leonardo DiCaprio going to this island. He believed that he was a detective, yeah. His partner was the doctor. Yeah. So he believed he was a detective. He was going to investigate this fucking psychiatrist place for some because somebody went missing or some shit. It then turned out that the whole time his partner, who's also meant to be a police, was actually a doctor the whole fucking time. Yeah. And he's running around doing this. What did they do? Because the concept of the movie is the doctors created a virtual reality experience for him. Go and watch Shutter Island, you will realize it's a virtual reality because in the way they ended the film, that was the trick to it. And it's not about what happened. The trick really was at the end is nobody knows if that man was really a police officer, and they fucking messed him up mentally and had him committed to that psychiatric ward. You know what I mean? He traveled over there by himself thinking he's going to be investigating something. And then obviously they trapped him on the island and then they started to play mind games with him at that point. It doesn't tell you exactly what happened in the end. All you see them do is him defeated, yeah? So in the end, he ended up going with the fucking doctors and psychiatrists, yeah? It doesn't explain if he really was a police officer who did that, who they did that to, or he was imagining this whole thing. But they facilitated the whole thing. Because when I look at Shutter Island, yeah, where it doesn't, yeah, the way it started doesn't make sense. I think he had to be a police officer in real life. That's what I think. He literally had to be a police officer in real life because it started with him coming towards the island. Because how would they have got him in that boat? Yeah, because the doctors tried to say that, yeah, the doctors tried to say, yeah, that he basically they were facilitating his mental problems. So he was a schizophrenic, he killed his wife and kids, blah blah blah. The doctors convinced him of that in the end, but it would be impossible because how would they have got him on the boat in the first place? How would they wake him up, stand him up in that fucking boat without him not questioning how did he get on the boat in the fucking first place? You understand what I'm saying? Why would he not have questioned? Because you would know that you weren't on the boat. Because wherever you fell asleep, you would know that well something is missing in there. So he really was a police officer, and they fucked him up on that island. They trapped him on the island, i.e., yeah, they trapped him on this island with, and guess what? Somebody powerful put him there, sent him there because they didn't like him for some reason, and they created this whole fucking story that he killed his wife and killed his partner. Yeah, and in the end, they grated him down, grated him down until he walked with them with no fight, putting up no fight at all into being lobotomized. Because the story does not make sense while making complete sense. He had to be a real police officer. It had to be. There's no fucking way he wasn't a real police officer because it started with him coming in on a ferry. How would you sedate somebody? Yeah, you should really watch that film. That film is it's a bit. If somebody tells you, you'll understand. It's not one of the films you just really understand that of it. It's meant to be that way because it's a psychoactive film, innit? You have to understand certain things to really understand what's going on. But you had to be a police officer in the end. They brought him to the island. He was searching around, investigating. He even met this woman that escaped the island, lives in a cave, which doesn't really make sense because how did she get in that cave and how does she survive in that cave? So she was meant to be a psychiatric patient who escaped and they couldn't find her. But the whole time she was in some cliff on the island where they would have never gone and search for her. But in reality, he found her, and how he ended up in that cave, in reality, you would question. I said, well, he got into that cave difficult. How did you get into that cave? You get me in. So there's a lot of things about the film, but it's really Truman Show, The Matrix, Shutter's Island, and these type of films. They're informative films, but just entertaining. You know what I mean? But if you watch it, you realize in the end how he started. He was obviously a police officer because his memory would not have lapsed to that point. Yeah, your memory can't lapse in that way. So if you go to sleep now and you wake up outside, you're going to know you went to sleep in bed. You're going to know there is missing time between you ending up outside from where you last remember yourself. So it obviously means he knew he was a police officer. Yeah, it obviously means he was a police officer because he did not question how he got on that boat in the first place. Because you couldn't dress somebody up, you couldn't do all of that to them and sit there and wait because guess what? You'd have to prop them up. Yeah, you'd have to hold them there standing. It doesn't matter how drugged you are, yeah. If you're standing, you're going to know it. Yeah. So when you look at it from that point of view, you just have to watch the film. It, Shutters Island is about virtual reality and how they fucked the guy, the police officer, up and left him in a mental home. Because not like nobody was going to get him. Yeah, I mean they did it to him on purpose. And that's why people's crazy fantasies. That's the shit that they think about. You get me? These guys are weird. I mean, I don't care who's offended. Human are strange with that. Very strange. The things humans sit there and think about, and now I have to think about it. So I've now become as strange as I think the white man is because they do strange stuff. Watch Shutters Island. Anybody ever watch these videos? Watch Shutters Island, and you'll realize what they did to that police officer. They convinced him that he's been in that hospital all his life. They convinced him that he killed some wife that he didn't have because in his head, his wife killed his children. Yeah, and they said he killed them. In his head, his wife killed his kids. But they convinced him that he killed his wife and children and kept him there. I said, it's mad, isn't it? I'm gonna watch that film tonight, actually. I mean, but yeah, but to say that, like, you can see the cameras doing it different. So I'm trying to take just a picture of my screen, and it just won't allow me to. So I need to wait. No, I need to go back on that. Alright, so that. What the shit? I give a fuck about another button. Right. FC in German. I don't know. They keep talking about this thing, but I've not seen anybody with them cards. Right. So if I click on that, if I click on that, I will get the thing, menu, and then so, so input switch method. Right. Yeah. So it says there. It says something about. So now my screen is my TV screen. I will show you my TV screen now. So this is what I'm saying. They're trying to create frustration. So that's my TV screen now for some odd fucking reason. You can see the app video, you can see the time, but the rest of the screen is blank. There is nothing that can be done that does that. So you can see behind closed doors, they're pissing me off because they thought they were smarter and they thought what they were doing would work. And they obviously know that it's broken down and the system doesn't work. And what they're going to do, allow me to go around telling people these things. So they're going around telling people's lies and making out like I'm some dangerous person. So I do play the role. I play the role that they've given. I mean, no, so yeah, I just want to get the screen up to, you can see, yeah? So you can see Mortal Kombat is still behind it there. Yeah, I mean, you can see Mortal Kombat is still behind it there. Let me put my pin in and stuff. Alright, so you can see Mortal Kombat is still there. So it says input switch. So I want to just go on that. So all I clicked was the button to change the screen, change the screen. So you can change, what's it called, the screen size. That's all I did was click the button to change the screen size, and it simply won't allow me to do it. So these guys are now are attacking my devices because guess what? They have to cover it up because questions are going to be asked about how many people have they done these things to, and where the fuck are they? I mean, that's the problem they are going to have in it is where is everybody that they've done this shit to? So obviously, I mean, I'm a scary phenomenon for them because it has never happened before. Usually, it works. But I need to change my screen color and pattern, so that basically I can I can lower the contrast and stuff, so I can take the picture, so it doesn't put the gray stuff in the picture. Yeah. So we go this way. So inputs, application, equipment, display, and audio. Display and audio. I'm saying they fucked up my whole house, but everything in my house, all my devices are fucked. It's because they thought they were smart, huh? And it turns out that I'm the smart one. So you can see it says picture mode there, picture mode. I mean, so right, backlight, I need to turn on the brightness on it. Definitely need to turn on the contrast, turn on the color. I need to lower the sharpness, color temperature, Alright, so I just need to take the picture of it. So if I lower, you see how the camera looks on the screen, innit? Yeah, so if I lower, you see how the picture looks on the screen. So yeah, so you can see the buttons there, innit? So you can see the buttons there. So I'm just gonna take a basic picture, huh? Yeah, 'cause I just want what I want is just simply for the buttons that I need to press to show. So I need the character and the button so I know exactly who it is. Yeah. So yeah. So if you look at the picture now, right, if you look at the picture now, it still looks like it's saying down forward on all three of them. It's because they've done something. They've gone somewhere or gone inside my device and changed how my camera looks. So it's playing with mind, isn't it? So you know what they call them fun mirrors that you have in like you used to see in circuses. When you look in the mirror, it makes you all wobbly and stuff. That's the first form of augmented reality. So these things are nothing new. They're pretending like these are all new stuff. If you go into them stuff where you go in circuses, you have them little rooms, you go into the mirror, and the mirror makes your face look weird and makes you dead looks dead slim or dead fat. Augmented reality, innit? It was just not electronic at the time. So anyway, so that one is not. So far down that one. So I just want to get the pictures of all the. So I'm gonna go on to another one to show you that they've done something to it. Yeah, because it should lower in the contrast and all that should darken the screen. It's like how you draw stuff in it. When you lower the contrast, it should let the shadows be a lot less visible even to the phone. So that shows that they've purposely done something to the phone. You know what I mean? I said these guys think they're so clever, you get me, innit? And they're not clever than me, but nobody's smarter than me. Nobody. Simple as I'm the smartest man in the world, my friend. And everybody knows. Right, so backlight, I need to turn the backlight off. So backlight off, I don't need it on. So the backlight off, backlight, turn the backlight all the way down. Brightness down, contrast down. Advanced settings, Dolby Vision. Right, so turn that gamma shit off. So dark film. Alright. They've done something to the phone. Alright, so let me go on a different one. These guys think they're clever, man. And that's why the government can't do anything about it because the secret's out. Because they definitely don't want that to be said. Because everybody, whoever these group of people are, they would have how long have they existed? You know what I mean? Whoever these group of people are, how long have they existed? And if they've existed for 10 years, well, what have they been doing for 10 years? You know what I mean? The destroyer of Babylon, you remember that. So however long these group of people and companies have existed, they would have to have been doing these stuff for a period of time. You know what I mean? Yeah, however long they existed, they would have been doing this stuff for a number of time, which means they would have done it to numbers of people. I can't see everybody escaping. I think I'm the only one to have escaped the virtual experience because it was meant to end with me and the police in a big brawl and shootout. And then guess what? I would have gone in and then that's it. They move on to the next target. I don't like these guys, but like I've never hated a group of people in my life. I don't hate people because I don't care enough to hate somebody, but these people I definitely hate them. Definitely. 100%. I definitely hate these little cunts. Like I say, whatever company this is, whatever part of the government these men work for, they have to wipe themselves out of existence. I mean, they would have to wipe themselves out of existence for one and one simple reason. Yeah. Anytime these people are involved, you hear the same stories and rumors about an individual. And anybody in these communities, they would have heard certain stories about these individuals, and it always ends the same way. You know what I mean? They would have heard these stories about these individuals, and it ended the same way all the time. Why? Because it's planned. It's a planned outcome. They think the person is just a bad person who hates white people and wants to kill white people because that's how it's put across. You know what I mean? That's the intention and how they put it across. That's the intention and how they put the whole fucking thing across. You know what I mean? They want people to think people hate white people. And because in these countries, guess what? It's like back in the day, if you look at during times when these countries were racist, yeah? And they still are to this day. But when racism was widespread, what would they say to the people? They would say, "Oh, they raped Karen, or Karen was raped by these black guys and immigrants and Asians or whatever." Yeah, and what would that cause? That would trigger off mob killings. Yeah, I mean, and they obviously figured it out and realized, oh shit, if we create this story around this individual, we can kill them because guess what? That's what they do now. That's what they're doing now. They don't mob kill you anymore. But what they do is everybody turns a blind eye to it because everybody turns a blind eye to it under the same situation, same guise and context. The community used to turn a blind eye when white people mob foreigners and immigrants and kill them because they raped Karen or they stole this and stole that, and they used to allow them to kill immigrants just the same. The police used to be involved and look the other way. And you realize it's the same thing that they do now. If you look at it, it's the same exact thing now. So now they because they don't physically mob you and beat you with the stick anymore. They go around and get black people to fucking help them. Because these black British people, they themselves, they don't like immigrants either. They don't even know it. They don't even know that they don't. You know what I mean? It it doesn't register in their brains that what they're doing is no different to when England used to mob people and kill them on the racist stuff. They don't recognize that what they're doing because been brought up here. You've been brought up and fucking raised here, and they can't see that it's the same principle being used, and that they themselves aren't the cleverest of people, but because they are brought up here, they are brought up with the same mental proudness and pride that fucking these men have, and they are brought up with the same mindset. So now instead of they come and overtly mob you and beat you with sticks, because that will then make black people look at you a certain way. You get me? That's what would happen. So just like now, if a group of white kids or a group of black kids beat up on a Jewish person, what they're gonna say is racism. It's gonna say it's hate crime. That's what they're gonna say. And because of hate crime, it can't be overt. So what they do is trick minorities and even other white people into believing that this person is against them, just like how back in the day it did not matter if a black man was involved. They would trick their own people into thinking, oh, this person raped Karen. And after raping fucking Karen, they can do whatever they want. If you go back through history, people get locked up in prisons and some Karen comes and say, oh, Johnny raped her or Tyrone raped her. Yeah? That man serves 25 years, 40 years, and then they let him out now, saying that, oh, DNA evidence shows that he weren't guilty of the crime. So if 40 years has passed, yeah, if 40 years has passed, and you have served a 40-year sentence for a crime you didn't commit, can you imagine the state fucking condemning you to death now? And then 40 years later, there's nothing to let you out. They can't let you out of the casket, can they? So you can see when they do it intentionally. When it's just to punish you, they put you in prison. But when it's intent to kill, they don't stop until you're dead. Because 40 years later, can they come and wake you up out of the casket and say, oh, mate, DNA test said it weren't you. It's the same idea. They think it's so clever. I figured you man out. I don't have to worry. I'll never see a prisoner selling this bitch. No. Because everything correlates. That's why they talk about, oh, move on. The past is the past. And that's why they say these nonsense, because a man who forgets his past is doomed to repeat it. So I'm gonna let this, yeah, I'm gonna let this dog out now, out of their cage, yeah, because I've got mild OCD, and I like my stuff to be clean and tidy as much as possible. I went and bought this dog off this black woman, yeah, and she said she was a nurse. I don't know how true it is, but that's what she said she was. Obviously, I didn't need to record that conversation. I don't need to make that up. That's what she said. And I chose a dog out of the lot. I chose it off a video that she sent. I can put a video of a dog I specifically wanted, because I wanted a dog because of that temperament where it was more of a chill dog and it's not irate and stuff. And they gave me a different dog, and I didn't realize it was different because I didn't check it. You know what I mean? Because she brought the dog and said that was the dog. And why would you just, you know what I mean? Like, who wants to just, you know what I mean? But anyway, they gave me a dog that they know has behavioral issues that will fucking destroy the house and ruin it, and that would piss me off and make me angry and potentially kill the dog. Because people like me, is like, ask anybody about people with OCD, like, it stresses them out when their things are being ruined and stuff like that. So they purposely gave me this dog that's supposed to piss me off and basically tear the whole house apart. And I won't be able to handle it because OCD issues. So you can see they're targeting my OCD by giving me an animal that has behavioral problems. So what am I gonna do? I'm either gonna leave the dog outside, fucking give the dog to charity or some shelter, and they basically scam me out of £300, or let the dog destroy my house. The law says, consumer rights says there's 14 days. I've asked her for my money at 5 days. She has not responded once. So for the next 6 days, I'm gonna do it all the time. I'm gonna message her every day at least 4, 5, 6 times up until the 14 days, just to show that she purposely ignored me because she knew before she sold me the dog. And that's how you prove intent. Because she hasn't responded and said, oh, this calms the dog down, that calms the dog down. Why? Because if she said stuff like that, that means she fucking knew what the dog was like and did not tell me. So she basically misrepresented and missold the dog, which legally gave me the right to get my money back based on that point. So she can't respond. Who told her to do that? Because why do I keep everybody I keep fucking buying things from keep doing the same? It means somebody is setting that whole experience up, virtual reality. So just watch this fucking dog now. I was trying to stop him from coming in the chair for the last 5 days, and he just will not stop trying to get into the chair. And I can't explain why. Where she was, she allowed him in the chair. He's only a puppy, so now he won't stop trying to go into the chair. Now just go away now. Just do something else. And just go away, but like I said, the intent with the dog, just go away. Like, I just can't sit in peace. He won't move from me. He won't go and sit somewhere else. He's always in the chair. He's always biting everything. I don't think that's normal because it's only a puppy. Where does he get the behavior from? Why did she not stop him when she had it? It's because they wanted. They knew I was searching for a dog. They knew I was trying to buy a dog. They provided the dog very cheap, very very cheap. Paid £300 for it. So guess what? They knew I was searching for a dog, and they knew the type of dog I was looking for, and they made sure that this specific dog was the cheapest out there, which means you go and get it and think you're getting a good deal. But really, the dog was trained to do certain things and to behave a certain way, and that's why she can't answer because it makes too much sense. You just will not stop. I cannot. I don't like letting. I don't like the dog. I really don't. I hate the dog. Just stop. Just get out of the chair. I can't put him outside because the rain's falling. If you look at all my door, I painted my door is all messed up. Like he keeps pouring the door. You just won't go away. Just go away, man. We'll put you back in the cage. I don't care if you sit in that cage for the rest of your life. She has to take the dog back, right? Or I'm not losing my children department. Nobody's coming me. Just go away. Just leave me alone. I don't like the dog. I really don't. I don't like animals who behave like that. And it's only a puppy, so it has nothing to do with what I've done to the dog. I've only had the dog 5 days. It's just his behavior. He just will not try. He keeps humping on my leg. He keeps coming. Look, he just won't go away. Just go do something else, man. You have toys. You have all sorts of shit. I don't like the British people, but I really don't. No, I really don't like British people. Just go away, man. The dog simply, it just will not. It will not sit out. It will not sit down. It will not just chill. It just don't do anything, man. More than just fucking moan. If I put him in the cage, he cries. If anything, it's just a nightmare with the dog. And it's only 5 days. And if I feel like this was 5 days, yeah, it's not good. It's not good to feel like that so fast. So it's time to tell me somebody did that. Somebody trained the dog to behave in this way, and that's why she can't. That's why she can't respond because she'd have to explain. Because you're supposed to, if you buy an animal, the owner of the animal should be able to tell you stuff about the dog. They should be able to tell you. She can't say nothing because guess what? They know they can't lie to me about the situation because I know right away that they're lying. And because it's text message. Look, he just won't fuck off, man. Just go away, just go do something else, innit? Just get out of the chair. I don't want you in the chair. I don't want you in the chair. And my only resort is to tie the dog up. Like, what's the point of it? I wouldn't want to be tied up all day or locked in a fucking cage all day, innit? I don't want to have to do that to the dog, innit? So she should just take back the dog. Because guess what? They have no explanation for why the dog is behaving like that. She would have known the dog behaves like that. I've had him for 5 days. It can't be me, innit? I don't want to have to tie the dog up. I don't want to have to leave the dog outside. Because what would be the point, innit? I wouldn't want to be treated like that. And I really don't want to have to treat the dog like that. But to make sure that this situation gets out there 100% that they did this, I'll let the dog die. I would. I simply would, innit? I don't care like that. If I have to sacrifice the dog, I will. Because he just won't go away, bro. Man. Just do something else, man. Just go away, go away. When I got there, she had the dog licking her face and all this weird stuff in it, man. I don't, to be honest, I've never seen black people do that before. Like, it was a red flag, it was a major red flag. And the dog just won't go away, bro. Like, he always wants to, like, if I'm on the laptop, he's jumping on the laptop, he's getting in the chair. It's just, nah, it's a puppy, it shouldn't be like that. And 5 days, I'm already feel like that towards the dog. I know better than keeping it because I know where that will lead to. Yeah, I know better. I know better than keeping the dog because he just won't. He won't chill out. He won't. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? It's not like a dog that, oh, majority of the time he's chilled and then he's, you know what I mean? He's gone off on a play thing. So you know, like that, innit? It's not one of them dogs, innit? Like, so obviously you play with him an hour or two, and then, you know what I mean? He relaxes every now and again. You give him a treat, and you know what I mean? He just chills and bites his toy up, or I mean, it's not like that, innit? The dog shitting in the house, pissing in the house, biting up everything, jumping on the sofa, bite constantly trying to lick my hand, my face, biting everything. He don't. I push him away like 17 times. He will just keep coming back. The dog has behavioral issues because it's like a child when you're telling no, and it's adamant that you're not going to tell him no. That's how the dog behaves. And I know better than keeping him. I know that it's not going to end well. Like he's humping my legs, he's biting my wires. Like I know better than keeping the dog. I'll end up hurting the dog. I would. Just that. He won't go sit somewhere else. He won't fucking move, man. Just move, dude. Just move. I'm not playing. Just move. Yeah, he just won't. He just won't stop. And I know better than keeping the dog. And I know I'm gonna end up hurting the dog. I've explicitly explained it to her in a fucking text. I've sent her numerous texts telling her this is ultimately the end with this dog. And the reason why I'm doing that because I'm no fool. I'm not just gonna go spend £300 and go and put the dog in a shelter and lose my £300 and these people scam me. That ain't on. You know what I mean? Simply ain't on. But I mean somebody else would benefit from my money and I'd be giving my money away. So that's not happening. So I explicitly put her numerous texts to say, yo, listen, it is in the best interest of the dog for you to just take back the dog. If you give a shit about the dog, take back the dog. You know what I mean? If it doesn't take back the dog, that means it was never her dog to begin with. That means she lied about who the dog is. You get what I'm saying? That makes too much sense. If she doesn't take back the dog, it simply means that dog was never hers to begin with, and somebody else had that fucking dog in the in yeah. Somebody else was keeping that dog and taking care of the dog, and whoever them people are were the one who allows the dog to behave the way it is. I'm not a dog trainer. I don't need to spend days and weeks and hours trying to train some fucking bad behaving dog. Nobody buys dogs like that for a reason. You know what I mean, they end up in fucking kennels for a fucking reason. But I just cannot get the dog to just like chill. Like I wake up in the morning, before I open the cage, it's just trying to tear the cage apart. And it's moaning, it's crying, just crying, 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 clawing the cage, hitting everything. I'm thinking like, what's wrong with this dog? Yeah. Get the food. He's jumping up. He's trying to hit the food out of my hands. I'm thinking, all right, fuck it. I thought, let me try and, you know what I mean, try and instill some discipline in the dog. Because when I put the food outside, I don't just put the food down. I stand up with the food and he sits down. And you know what? I noticed the dog was sitting. When I got him, the dog was sitting down on his own, innit? He would just randomly sit down, and I started noticing it. I was saying that somebody trained the dog because the dog was just sitting on its own. So the dog has commands. Somebody instill commands in the little dog. Yeah. Somebody fucking instill commands and behavior because that person isn't here to tell him whatever they use to say stop or whatever, whatever. It's just acting out because I'm not. It doesn't see me as its owner. Somebody else instill because the moment I got the dog, I realized the dog would just sit, like literally sit, like when you tell a dog to sit, it just fucking sits up. It does it randomly on its own. And I thought, that's a bit strange. I thought that was a good thing that this dog just does it on its own. But when I started to really analyze the dog and realize, I think this dog's been trained to behave like this because he'll just sit at times and then he just goes off. So somebody was training the dog. She don't know how to explain what is going on with the dog because it doesn't seem like it's her dog. It doesn't, whatever it is or isn't, she had somebody around instilling this behavior in the dog. Because I bet you if you go to wherever she got these dogs from, whether they're hers, I bet if you go and look at the rest of them, none of the rest of them behaves like this specific one. So they did it to the dog. And that's why she don't want to reply. Because if she replies, it leaves evidence that they did something because it's going to go into a conversation. And if she abruptly stops the conversation, it means you don't want to incriminate yourself. So the best thing you to do is to not respond. The problem what comes down is that if they don't take this dog blood, I'm not gonna give this dog away and lose £300. I'm no monk. I'll leave that dog out there and watch that dog suffer and die. When the police comes, because somebody's gonna complain that there's a dead dog in the yard. When the fucking police comes and the RSPACA comes, I'm gonna point her in her direction and say legally, this woman tried to scam me. And what was I meant to do? At that point, it'd be too late for anybody to do anything about the dog. And ultimately, whoever she is will be dragged in. I don't care if she's black. And a human made that mistake to think I feel any different towards any of these black British people. Or even a Jamaican one than I feel to you. You man cannot win this way. I have 14 days and it's called consumer rights. I've got fucking 14 days. And on day 5, I wanted to return the dog. Legally, I've got the right. Any sale at all. Yeah, and the thing is, it went through. I paid it through my bank account. Simple as that. I didn't give her the cash, and I knew better than paying cash than drawing it because I tried to play it through Pets for Home, and she would not take the payment through Pets for Home, and I thought, alright. I saw what was going on. She was trying to get me to use cash. She was like, oh, just get cash. I was like, no, I won't get cash. You know what I mean, I'm no idiot. I've gone to Sheffield. Yeah. Why am I just gonna go and get cash? Go take out £300. Go to Sheffield. You know what I mean? Because anybody's questioning me, anybody's scrutinizing me, they're gonna say, well, what did you go to Sheffield and take £300 for? There will be no way to find that person. At least this way, that bank account, whoever bank account that I paid that money into, is connected to this one fucking way or the other. Because I don't think it was her. I don't think it was her bank account. Because something specifically happened that led me to be suspicious because somebody else was there and that person confirmed the bank account separate from her. So she gave me the bank account and then somebody else confirmed that it was her. And I'm thinking that's weird. Why would this girl, because this was some young white girl that was around her. I was like, why is this young white girl that's apparently your son's girlfriend? Why is she confirming your bank account? I thought right away I realized that something went right in it. And obviously I'm saying that dog belongs to them white people. Right away I'm saying that dog belongs to them white people. So whoever bank account that is, I can simply go to the bank and say, well, £300 went missing from my account. I simply can go about it like that. I choose not to go about it like that. £300 went missing from my bank account. And I'd like to know where this £300 payment went. No, he just won't fuck off, man. Just stop licking me. I don't like to be licked. I didn't want a dog that licks all the time. Innit? I don't want to be licked. Just fuck off. I've had dogs in my life, and them dogs have never licked me once. I don't know what they do to these dogs over here, but these people are weird. Just go away, man. I don't like the dog. I'm gonna end up hurting the dog. I'm telling you, I'm putting it out there. Willing, if you don't take the dog back, I'm putting it online to say I've requested my money back. I'm willing to take the dog back to Sheffield, hand her back the dog, get my fucking money back, and that's the end of that. And at least the dog will be safe. And you know what I mean? And what I'm trying to do here is prove these people's intent one fucking way or the other. Because they want to make out like I'm a cruel person that will harm people and harm animals. How do you get around that? Because I've told her, take the dog back. The dog's behaving poorly. I don't want to deal with the dog. I have the right to do that. I have the right to return anything. So when your judge comes and says whatever he has to say, that's my defense. I said, I told her to take the dog back. She refused. Why? Like, I can't put nothing down. It chews up everything. I've got my chessboard, like I've got a table with like cars and chess pieces on there. Yo, get out from under there. I've got a chessboard with like cards and tables. I get it, dogs bite shit up. Yeah. And when I'm ready, I'll put a picture I put a picture onto. Just go away, man. I put a picture. I put a picture onto the video she sent me of the dog. That she had bite in her slippers and stuff. And I said nothing, innit? I said nothing. But that's the video she sent me of the dogs playing. Like she had like 4 of them in it. They were playing. And the dogs just biting her slippers up. And it was a red flag. I immediately noticed. And I thought, so she's obviously not a dog breeder of any sort. She isn't. So I just couldn't work out who would just have a dog just in your house biting slippers up. You know what I mean? And what that does really tell me that the slippers that them dogs were bite, weren't slippers that they used, that they gave them slippers to the dog to bite up. They were fucking training the dogs to be that sort of person and be that sort of animal because if the dog is biting and stuff up, everybody would stop the dog from biting stuff. You wouldn't just allow the dog to bite stuff because the habit will continue. So I put that video up at some point to say I did question her about it, and she said, "Oh, it's fine. They don't like that. They don't usually do that." So, like I said, the intent was for this dog to come to my house and fucking tear the house apart, eat up all my shit. I don't let the dog in my room. I lock my room. Basically, ever since he's got it, my bathroom door stays locked, and my room door stays locked. Yeah, he was just biting everything. The bird was in there. It was trying to bite the fucking bird cage. He's biting the Wi-Fi. He's just biting everything. But I don't want the dog. I want the dog to be returned. And I'm not going to stop putting up on there until the inevitable happens about this stuff. Because like, she's not keeping that £300 and I go and put the dog in a shelter. That's not happening. She's not getting away with that. So one way or the other, however this plays out, I genuinely don't care how it plays out. It goes into a court because I'm sure if you abuse animals, it goes into courts. I'm very sure that if you abuse animals, these things go to court. So when I look coming from that point of view, you people were warned. The police officers who are involved here are warned. The special operation team, the whole fucking lot of you were warned that you purposely did this behavior to the dog. And what I started doing is videotaping the dog and its behavior over a period of time. The moment these 14 days pass, I'm gonna videotape this dog and put it online every single day about this dog's behavior. And this woman did not want to give me money back for the fucking dog after day 5. I legally have 14 days. When you come to take me to court, that is going to be an issue to you because what was I meant to do? Was I meant to give away this dog and not get my £300 back while I legally had a right to? Just look at it, just fuck off, man. Yeah, I legally had a right to. Yeah, so I don't know how you man plan on working this and your special operations team. You're fucked because I don't think you people thought I would have noticed that. Just go away. I don't think you people thought he would have noticed. I think you people would have thought, oh, he's going to try and train the dog in fucking self. I'm not a fool. You don't need to train dog. Any dog that you buy from somewhere should become with a certain behavior. If you go get a dog from a shelter, that's a complete different thing. However the dog is, that's a different story. But when you buy that dog, the dog should be a certain way. So tell your special operations team, again, you man have failed. Again, they have failed. And I say virtual reality or virtual experience, they keep setting up these horrible experiences which would make you violent or make you run away from the country. Yeah, guess what? There's a reason why they want me to run away from this country because they either put some form of tracking device in my food and I ate the fucking tracking device and they put some sort of biological technology within inside my body. They put some sort of biological technology behind my body, but they don't want these things to come out in their courtroom. So they rather, if they chase me out of the country, it's a different story. They either put something in my food with a nanotechnology, biotechnology, something they've allowed me to consume where they can trap me one way or the other, and they don't want that to come out in their court. So they'd rather have me kill myself, kill someone, or run away from the country. And I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna say it every day until it leads up to whatever happens. As long as I keep saying these things, you have much as a right to ensure that these things don't happen as much as a right and I should control myself. It's the same thing, mate. Just like how I should control my anger and emotions, you should stop doing illegal stuff. There's no special operations commander in this country that can go and get any authority. Not even from the Prime Minister himself. Not even the fucking Prime Minister himself can give any authority like that. So if that dog dies, I'll make sure everyone knows that yeah, it was going to happen. I want my money back. I'm not gonna put the dog in no shelter and give away £300 for no reason. I'm not a fool. So I'd rather watch that dog die and at least I know that's where the £300 went. But nobody else is getting the dog free of charge. On our advertisement, there was nothing about the dog's behavior. There was nothing given, you know what I mean? The advertisement was just basic. It said nothing. If you go and buy a car and they don't state that the car has problems, you legally return that car. Simple as that. Simple as that. End of the story. Innit? If you go and buy a car tomorrow and the car is misfiring or head gasket problems and that owner didn't fucking tell you about that, yeah? The only mistake you could make that would make it difficult for you, the only mistake you could make that would make it difficult for you is one simple mistake: paying in cash. That's why I never buy nothing in cash. Never. Because the moment you use cash, it's complicated. You're still entitled to your money back, but they can say, oh, you didn't give them any money for it. That's why I ensured she tried her best to convince me to get the cash. And I was like, no, it's bank transfer and nothing. And if the reason why they went through with it, because if she refused to take the bank transfer, I would have not bought the dog either. Because if she refused to take if she refused to take the bank transfer, then it means something was wrong and they planned on scamming me in some way. I mean, simple as that. So it wouldn't have worked out for them anyway. They would have just ended up with this bad behaving dog for themselves. So that's why I'm smarter than you, man. But like, trust me. I'm simply smarter than you people. I realized right away because other things have happened where things like that have taken place. Yeah, other things have happened where things like that have taken place, and I thought that would never happen to me again. But other things like that happened, and I thought that would never happen to me again. I don't buy nothing with cash unless I'm going to a corner store, and I rarely use cash. I always use my card. Well, the dog just won't settle, but like after 5 days, it will just not settle. I don't want to hurt the dog. I really don't. But if it has to go that way, it will go that way. It's as simple as that. Just go away, but I don't want to be licked, mate. I would have never trained the dog to lick me, yeah. I would have never done that. I would have never allowed that. And that's what they do because I've said it. I've said I don't like the idea that dogs are in houses, and I don't know how white people allow dogs to lick their faces. I've said it, and because I've said it, they've done that to the dog on purpose. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody knows. That's it. Motive pussy. Till I take the dog back. It's simple as that. I look her right in her face. I know that she heard everything I said online about her. Fuck her, you know. Take the dog back. I have said it I would never allow the dog on my bed. I never allow the dog to do stuff like that. I've said it the moment I came to England. I've said stuff like that. So I don't want no dog in my bed. I said I'll never let the dog lick my face. Nothing. The dog licks its ass. Why would I want? Why would I want the dog to fucking lick my face? If you people think I'm scared about offending you, man, what's there to be offended for? Innit? You choose to allow things to happen. Just like you people don't want certain things to happen, wouldn't allow certain things. Why should I? Just look what I'm telling you, man. Just fuck off, man. Just go away, man. No, the dog. I take the dog out for a walk. He fucking doesn't want to walk. He doesn't want to walk. It's like every time I try and take it on the lead, he just sits down, blood, and doesn't want to walk. Like, no, that's not on, blood. Just take it up. The experience in 5 days is more than enough. I love dogs. I love animals, and I don't want to have to hurt them. I really don't. Or if I have to prove that this is what you people set up in the first place, then I will. That's simple. Dog will be sacrificed. Simple. In that courtroom, it's your words against mine. Then I make sure to document the dog behavior. I ensure that the whole time I told her I want my money, but she refused. Me going putting the dog in a shelter is is what do you call it now? Is a scam. Is a plot to scam money out of me. You man don't stand a chance on this one. The dog just would not just. You can't stay still. You can't calm down. You can't chill. I put him outside. He's just crying at the door, making pure noise. I leave him in the house. He bites up everything. Like, nah, something. Definitely did something to the dog. They definitely they hand raised the dog, if that makes sense. Yeah, if you know what a hand raised animal is, you'll act just like a child who cries as soon as his parents walk away. You know that sort of thing. And obviously, a child is different. You have to hand raise a child, don't you? Well, the idea, everything the dog does, it tells me right away how it was, what they were doing behind closed doors. Everything about the dog tells me. And I don't think they fought. I don't think they're either trying to study me to see how I figured out the things I've figured out. They're either trying to study me, see if I'll figure out these things about the dog just the same, because they're trying to rule out how I know what they've done. But he just won't sit still. He won't. I bought the toys for him to buy. He refuses to buy his own toys and prefers to buy the stuff running around the house, which doesn't make sense. He completely the dog. He doesn't what the dog behavior doesn't make sense because he doesn't want to buy the stuff that is meant for him. He buys the furniture and the laptop and the controller. Nah, that's not. That dog was clearly left to do certain things that promote a certain behavior, innit? And obviously because he's been around that woman and whoever lives with her for 3 months. Because what is it? He's 3 months old. Yeah. I've only had him for 5 days, but so 3 months and 5 months is a massive difference. 3 months and 5 months is a big difference. I can't sit here and wait for 3 months. I'd have nothing in my house left for this. That would break everything. He keeps jumping up and touching and like hitting the telly and stuff. It just destroy my own house, but it will cost me more than the £300 in the long run, and that doesn't make sense to me. I saved up my money for ages to buy the dog for my birthday, but then they just ruined it. So they knew, they were well aware of that dude. I can prove everything. I saved up my money for ages to buy the dog. And I've been shopping around and looking for the dog for ages and the type of dog. So these people who are monitoring and stuff, they knew exactly what I was looking for. Yeah, they knew exactly what I was looking for. And they purposely, the whole time I was looking, obviously that over that 3 months period, they were purposely fucking up the dog. And then guess what? They reduced the price. You're thinking like, oh my god, that's a good deal, innit? Thinking that, oh, she probably just got rid of, she just can't sell the dog, so they reduced the price, and not realizing why the dog is so cheap because it's targeting you. They know, oh, you're gonna go for the cheapest one you can get because it's basically what you wanted anyway. Who wouldn't take the cheapest? If you could buy a Porsche 911 GTS Turbo, yeah, brand new for £20,000 less than you would buy anywhere else, you're obviously going to fucking buy it, aren't you? And this is the type of psychology they use. If you could go out there and buy a Porsche GTS 911 Turbo, yeah, and that's what the car you wanted, and you can get that brand new. Just look at it. Fuck off, man. Yeah, you can get it brand new. Like the dog's stupid. The dog's so stupid. Yeah. Every day for the 5 days, it's seeing me smoking. Yeah. The dog cannot work out that it's not food at this point. You get me? Innit? Like, and it's not because he's stupid. It's because of how they work with the dog. Yeah, it's not because the dog's stupid. It's because of what they did to the dog in anticipation of me buying the dog. Because when I went there, she was like, "Oh, all the other dogs are gone, innit? This is the only one she apparently had left." And at the time, I told her to save it. I told her to save the dog that I want. She said, yeah, she'd save it. When I got there, it's like because you expect you're gonna agree to something. You don't expect you wouldn't take notice, innit? Maybe most people would. Maybe most people would. Unfortunately for me, I did not take notice. And she must have known I would not have taken notice. Then the question would be, why? How did she know that I wouldn't have noticed? But I roll every time I roll the tobacco. He flies off the handle and he's trying to like get the tobacco out of my hand. Innit? I'm thinking that doesn't make sense. I'm saying like obviously tobacco has certain chemicals in it. The dog obviously knows that it's not food in it. Why does it keep trying to get the tobacco in it? And go anywhere else, people are smokers who have dogs. Their dogs don't behave like that. They don't do that. Any smoker out there with dogs would know that the dog ain't going to go after the tobacco just like that. They won't just do it because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't smell like something they'd want to consume. So it's clearly not going after for food purposes. I wanted to hear everything I've got to say because I don't care. You try to violate and you're gonna be violated back. That's simply how I see the situation. The NHS and anyone connected to the government try to disrespect, and trust me, I'm a disrespect back like right in front of your faces in the worst way. I disrespect you people being measured around there for what you've done here. I disrespect you people the same way you man disrespect me. I'm out your little secrets and disrespect you on top of it. Out your little secrets and disrespect your little pussies on top of that. A special operation team, after me, that would be a non-existent branch of whatever government you are. That's the end of that. A non-existent branch of them finished with you. So you can see his overhead hits me every time he does it. Look. Yeah? No, his mine don't hit him. No, every time it does that, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as this. Look, mine don't hit, mine won't hit. So I'm just gonna stand up and let him do it. Yeah, yeah. You know what it's the same. It's not fair because the same people who did this to the dog are the same thing. That special operation, man, and it's done for when I'm finished with you. Because I'll allow that dog to die just to destroy that. It's quite simple. I'll destroy that special operations team. You know, force Britain to have to hide it and pretend that none of it ever happened and make it up stories. And I can more than prove it. More than prove it. A special operations team, the end of human. And so I'm destroy that from top down, from top to bottom. I ain't going from bottom to top, from top to bottom. Going right, I'm going after it like with everything I can and try. You are the ones that are hiding from the courtroom, not me, pussy. I destroy that from top to bottom. I remember that team lose their pension and their jobs or turn on each other. Simple. And as long as that's my intention, anything you man do is motive, yeah. Anything you man do is motive. As long as that's my intention to get rid of that special operations branch. Anything you man do is motive. You man don't stand a chance here. You know what I mean? You man don't stand a fucking chance here. Anything you do, as long as that is the case and that is my intention to have that branch fucking dismantled and demolished and fucking taken out of circulation. Anything you do is motive. Don't matter who authorized it. Anybody authorized it also has a motive because they don't want to lose the special operation branch because it's abusive in nature and they want to sit down and abuse people. Simple as that. They want to fucking abuse people. And this is the only way they get to legally abuse anybody by calling it special operation. That's the only way they get to do it. And so they're shitting bricks because they won't get their little kicks and they won't be able to masturbate at night time to abuse. I mean, stop licking me, but just calm down. I just needed to calm down for the minute you are in this house. Until you go back to it, I just don't want it anymore. Uh, yeah, I dislike the dog. I can't, I won't change my mind on it. It's just how it is. I'm just very sorry. I really was looking forward to it, but can't turn back now. I've had enough. 5 days or more than enough. Seeing our dog, because of what's going on, our dog's hiding under the fucking chair. I can't keep the dog. I know what's going to happen. And this was a fucking calm animal. I'm gonna show you. I use her as a typical example. I use her as a typical example. I use everybody with animals as a typical example. I said this was all planned. The special operation team, how pension gone, the doctors, everybody involved, have that done with. Was all it take is for one person to put them under the microscope, white. Yeah. All it take is just one person, yeah. That's done with that. And everything human do, going off from whenever I decided that was the end result, is primary motive for your team. But man, don't stand a chance, eh? Everything human did is motive to say human did this because it was meant to destroy the whole special operation thing. Because they do illegal and terrible stuff to people. And that person usually ends up in the worst position that somebody could find themselves in. And end of that special operations team. Oh yeah, man, pride and joy out the door, man. Man, pride and joy through the door. There won't be no special police officer. I mean, your dick has been severed. That's what you get, pussy. Your man fucking dick has been cut off. Pride before the fall, yeah. All that shit about you, man, I'm proud. Pride before the fall, as usual. Told you, them people who sent you here, they wanted it to destroy, for it to be destroyed too. That's why they had it though. That's why they sent you, man. They couldn't do it themselves. They knew exactly how this would have played out. They knew how smart I was. They knew. They sent you, man, here for it to be destroyed. It will be destroyed. And they know, the law knows, everybody knows. The longer this goes on, everything human do is motive. They say human did not want to lose this power that human was given. You know what I mean? It's simple. They knew that men like you would not want to lose that power. And we all know what people do when people want to hold on to power. You must have no chance. Everything you do just makes it worse for yourself. I ain't powerful, you're dickhead. Everybody knows this is the outcome. Destroy.
where people who are power hungry, which we usually use to say bad, those people are far more likely to seek power in the first place, and very often they're better at getting it. So we can always just blame the individual. We can also always just blame the power and say power corrupts. The smarter solution is to try to design systems that attract all the right people into power so we get better outcomes. And that is the task, I think, for the 21st century, because it's a problem that we have not solved. Pretty much everybody you speak to is disappointed with those people who end up in charge. My name is Brian Kloss. I'm an associate professor in global politics at University College London and a contributing writer for The Atlantic magazine. And my book is called Corruptible: Who Gets Power and How It Changes Us. I started studying political science, and I was studying rigged elections and political violence. And so I went around the world and I met former heads of state in authoritarian regimes, people who had been accused of war crimes. And I ended up in a room with a lot of really awful people who had done some really awful things. And what was striking to me was that when I came back to talk to people about this, some of them recognized these sorts of personality traits in their bosses or in their homeowners associations. Sort of a germinal idea was placed in my head about, is it possible that these traits are universal in power seekers and power holders? One of the problems with power is that you often have people who are drawn to it like moths to a flame. In this small community in Arizona that I studied, there was a particularly egregious example of a homeowners association president that I call Martin McFife. I changed his name. Martin McFife was someone who coveted power. He didn't want to help his community, he just liked to control. So what he did was he began to purge the homeowners association of his rivals. And then he began establishing arcane bureaucratic rules. You couldn't have out-of-state gravel in your garden. You had to trim the palm trees in exactly the right way. And if you didn't do this, he would fine you. As a result, some of these homeowners began to push back. They began to try to institute a recall election to unseat him from his throne of power. And he began to target them. Occasionally, some homeowners who stood up to McFife had rocks thrown through their windows. As McFife falls, he's unable to accept the loss of power. He drives around the neighborhood, taking pictures of people who hadn't trimmed their palm trees to his liking, and trying to send these really nutty newsletters around the community, accusing people of being enemies of the neighborhood. Martin McFife illustrates a key point, which is self-selection bias. Self-selection bias refers to a phenomenon in which people who are power-hungry, people who are psychopaths, tend to self-select into positions of power more than the rest of us. And as a result, we have this skew, this bias in positions of power, where certain types of people, often the wrong kinds of people, are more likely to put themselves forward to rule over the rest of us. And that's the start of any sort of diagnosis that can lead us to a solution. Because the people who end up in power are not representative of the rest of us. They are not average and they are not normal. Once you accept that, then you can start to counteract those problems. One of the most uncomfortable questions to answer is, are we to blame? Why are we drawn to people who are clearly not in the business of public service, but want to abuse us and often show us that they are strong men who are oriented towards conquering and dominating rather than serving us? And that puts the mirror back on us. And the answer is partly to do with evolutionary psychology. In times of crisis in the very distant past, it helped us survive to turn towards a large, physically strong man. And that's because the challenges that prehistoric societies faced were often a threat from a warring tribe or something in which physical prowess and strength actually mattered. When we look at the modern society that we inhabit, this is no longer true. We have massive numbers of examples of excellent female leaders who can't bench press as much as a world-leading bodybuilder. So this is what's called evolutionary mismatch. Now we still have that template in our brains. It's maladaptive. It hurts us to still have this cognitive bias, and yet it still exists. For example, if you ask people to select a leader, if you prime them, if you say, imagine that you're facing a famine, a war, some sort of catastrophe, then what people tend to do is they turn towards the physically stronger male leader at a disproportionate rate. Modern leaders by design, for example, that Vladimir Putin often poses shirtless, that he tends to present himself as a strongman. He often manufactures crises. He invents them in order to show that I alone can fix it. And here I am, by the way, shirtless on a horse. The term, by the way, is no accident. Strong man means strong man. And that's why dictators tend to be men. What I think is that we need to accept that some of these biases are lurking inside of our heads. They're the product of tens of thousands of years of evolution. They are maladaptive now, they're not good for us. But only by accepting and recognizing them can we start to counteract them. If we're going to focus on fixing this problem, we have to think very carefully about systems. If you're in a corrupt police department, if you're in a corrupt bureaucracy, everybody around you is skirting the rules. A lot of the people around you are breaking the rules, they're abusing them. But it's normal, it's what's done. So the system is this key mediating factor. Trying to change a bad leader is hard. Changing systems is something that we can actually achieve. I think part of the problem is we don't systematically evaluate these questions when we have choices about who to recruit or how to hire someone or how to promote someone. So what I often will tell people is, imagine that the worst person in the world is trying to get the job that you are advertising for. Imagine that the worst person in the world is running for the political office in your political party or in your election. Now design every system with that idea in mind. You then have screening processes to try to weed them out during the actual recruitment process. If they manage to wriggle through, you have checks and oversight to basically eliminate them from those posts of power if they've made it that far. And then when it comes to promotion and the top jobs, that's where scrutiny has to be the absolute most robust, because those people are the ones who do the most damage. The Enron scandal, the major abuses of power, those happen in the corner offices, where nobody is checking your chair, no one's monitoring your screen. Rather than trying to punish and regulate every person who might steal a paper cut, think about the people who can actually bring the company down and inflict enormous damage on our society. You're always going to have power-hungry people show up and try to take power. What you need to do is dilute them and block them. And that's where the system design is crucial. And I think we haven't thought carefully about that in a series of roles of power around modern life. We just sort of assume we can advertise for a position or advertise for a promotion and wait for the right people to come. It doesn't work like that. We have to actively counteract this impulse of power-hungry people to seek and abuse power. And when we design systems in an intelligent way, we can screen out and topple the Martin McFly's of this world.
Get smarter faster with videos from the world.
The balanced planet is an idea where the world's energy system is more secure, more sustainable, more affordable. An idea whose time has come. Can you see it? Can you imagine it? We can. For almost a century, we've been at the forefront of the energy industry.
Having power over others or to change the course of events can do strange things to your brain. It can be good for you in lots of ways. Research has shown that it can help you think more creatively, be better organized, stay focused, and remember things more easily. But there's also a dark side to that power. As the famous British historian Lord Acton once said, power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And if you look at the history of human leadership, from dictators to corporate executives, it's easy to see where Acton is coming from. Science seems to agree with Acton. Power can definitely go to your head, but unlike Acton, scientists have also come up with some ways that you might be able to prevent that. One of the most well-known studies that looked into the dubious influence of power was the Stanford prison experiment. And now, into this experiment, university students were randomly assigned to be either a guard or a prisoner, and within a matter of days, the students assigned to be the guards had become so sadistic that the researchers were forced to stop the experiment. But it turns out this experiment was more theatrics than science. According to a recent interview with the lead researcher and one of the study participants, the guards were told to act cruel, and the harrowing prisoner breakdowns were at least partly the result of some dramatic acting. There's still plenty of evidence that power corrupts people, though. One study, now called the Cookie Monster study, found that people in positions of power were more likely to be greedy. In the experiment, researchers divided people into groups of 3. and with one person randomly chosen to be the leader. The groups then did some simple tasks, and when they were done, the researchers brought in a plate of 4 cookies. And surprise, surprise, the person who was chosen to be the leader was more likely to take a second cookie. I can tell you from my experience that I am the one who will have the second cookie in this office. Taking a second cookie might not seem like a big deal. It's certainly not the same as a dictator deciding to keep extra taxes for themselves in their Swiss bank account or something. But it is an example of someone in a position of admittedly minor power acting in their own personal interest when there are limited resources. Researchers also noted that the leaders ate differently, tending to chew with their mouths open and getting more crumbs all over the place, like Cookie Monster. Another study asked some people to write about a time when they had power over someone else, while others were told to write about a time when someone had power over them. Other studies have found that this is a way to manipulate whether someone's feeling powerful. Then they had participants draw the letter E on their forehead, something that kind of forces you to see yourself from someone else's point of view. People who were feeling powerful were 3 times more likely to draw the E pointing in the direction that would make sense if they were reading it, but backwards for everyone else. According to the researchers, the results suggest that those in power might be less likely to see things from other people's perspectives. Over the last few decades, lots of other studies have found that people in positions of power, or people who feel powerful, also showed signs of less empathy. They tended to act more impulsively, were less aware of risks, became more selfish, were more likely to cheat, and were bad at guessing what someone else was feeling or how they might interpret something the person in power said. So maybe Lord Acton was right after all. Power does corrupt. That said, like a lot of human psychology research, the studies on this are small, and for ethical reasons, these days you can't design experiments where someone has power over others in a really significant way. But the research we do have can help guide psychologists' theories, even if we can't draw definite conclusions. And either way, there are some things you can do to help yourself feel more empathy when you're in a position of power. Because as we know, with great power comes great responsibility. Some research suggests it can help to keep in mind times when you felt powerless, and becoming more self-aware can be useful too. Other experts recommend reflecting on compassion, like by doing compassion meditation, where you try to create an emotional state of kindness and empathy. If nothing else, the world can always use a little more kindness. Do I feel like the staff gave me this script for a particular reason? We're hoping not. But it doesn't matter. I fired them all and I ate the last cookie. Thanks for watching this episode of SciShow Psych. Speaking of kindness, if you're part of our Patreon community, thank you for helping. Listen to music without moving the world around you. Live stream your creations from your POV. Take calls without interrupting your flow. Capture your unique perspective in music straight from your brain. The next generation of smart glasses by Ray-Ban and Meta.
The problem is that I think we've engineered a society, and I think you've talked about this with automation and so on, where it's getting easier and easier and easier to have more layers of psychological distance between people who are affecting your life and you. And the evidence is very, very clear that the more psychological distance between one person and another, the easier it is to abuse them, to view them as disposable, to start to treat them, like they're insignificant. And you think about the corporate downsizing consultant, the person who sort of got the job of just coming in to fire you because nobody in the corporate corner office actually wants to deal with that. And I think we've created a world that is built for psychological distance. Even things like drone strikes. Drone strikes create psychological distance more than
social media. Like people be on social media when you never would in real life.
Yeah, I always think about that. These hateful comments on my Twitter. I'm like, nobody has ever said something like this to me in person. Like, you get this
that's why I'm really pleasant on social media that I'm a total dick in real life. Like get to me in person, I'm going to tell you things you have never heard before to your face.
Yeah, I always think about that when I get like these hateful comments on my Twitter. I'm like, nobody has ever said something like this to me in person. Like, you get this
that's why I'm really pleasant on social media that I'm a total dick in real life. life, I get to you in person, I'm gonna be like, I'm going to tell you things you have never heard before to your face. And then on social media, I'm like, keep going. No, I mean, I'm kidding. But when you talk about the psychological distance, this is actually one of like the grave dangers, or there's so many grave dangers of our time. We're pretty fucked. But the that there's this erosion of sympathy and empathy. And then there are these, I'm going to say it, like kind of performative displays of sympathy and empathy that I don't think amount to the real thing. It's like, if you have a choice between helping someone in real life or like proclaiming on social media how much you give a shit, like tell the world how much I care as opposed to how you actually tell someone you care is like go out and like do something about it and no one will ever know you did anything about it. That would be a more genuine expression. This week on Forward, political science professor and author of the new book, Corruptible, Who Gets Power and How It Changes Us, Brian Class talks about how we can actually build a system that brings in the people we want and gets rid of the corruption that unfortunately is becoming widespread. Brian Class, this week on Forward. Hello and welcome to the Forward Podcast. Someone who wrote an entire book on a subject that's near and dear to my heart. That book is Corruptible, Who Gets Power and How It Changes Us. Political scientist, host of the aptly named Power Corrupt podcast, Brian Class. Brian, welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So Brian, how long have you been super powerful and how long did it take you to have your soul corrupted and become very, very dark?
Well, I don't think that I'm super powerful myself. I mean, I have a bit more of a platform than I once did, which I still find very weird. I mean, I find it very weird to be speaking to you, to be honest, because you're an ultra famous and accomplished person. But I think this is one of those things where I've been studying really powerful people for the better part of a decade. And what I started doing was, I sat down with various former despots and war criminals and so on in my early research. And I started to wonder, the germination of this book was, I started to wonder, what is this like at the more like normal level? What are these dynamics, are these kinds of people also experiencing the same things in their head when they're, in charge of a local homeowners association or running for president or doing things a bit more close to home? So the book is trying to sort of understand power in all of its nuance and complexity and how it changes people and affects them and who seeks it and all of that.
Well, you clearly have a very deep interest in the subject because not only did you write a book, but your podcast is literally named after this. So tell us a little bit about how you came to this. It seems you studied political science, so is that when this interest kicked in? And then how do you make a career out of this? I'm sure people would love to hear about that.
Yeah, sure. So, when I explain what I do to people, what I do in terms of like what my professional life is like, I say I study bad people who do bad things. And that's typically, the sort of through line in a lot of my research. So I started traveling around the world and studying these people, talking to them, having breakfast with them, sometimes, drinking a beer with them, whatever it was. And what was really fascinating to me is that there's this sort of weird thing that happens to you when you sit down with someone who's, a corrupt kingpin in Madagascar. And you start to sort of like them. I think there's something to that. Yeah, they're charming, they're funny, they have complexity and nuances to them. Wow. And you sort of, what I started to think about was, how can I convey there's this disconnect between like my moral judgments of some of these people and then also like my understanding of why they exist the way they do. Because I think one of the things that we often do in politics is we just sort of say, what's wrong with the leaders we have? And we're not thinking about some of the other components of this.
Throw the bums out, Brian. Throw the bums out.
Well, you and I agree on that. I mean, you and I agree that there's a lot of problems with the current crop of leaders. But I would say...
No, I'm going to follow up with this, Brian, is that, like, I'm joking about it because I am profoundly in agreement with what Ezra Klein wrote, which is that corrupt systems compromise good individuals with ease. And we keep having this fantasy that, like, oh, if only I could get that one moral person in there, then everything will be well. And there are various both candidates and political movements and media organizations that have reinforced that myth that I believe is a myth. It's like, hey, guess what? You could get a relatively moral person into a corruptive system, and the system's going to win. Like that person's not going to show up, and all of a sudden the pipes are going to become squeaky clean.
Yeah, so I started with this question of like, does power corrupt, or do corruptible people seek power? And I think the answer is definitely both. And I think you're completely right about this because we often have these little quips. I mean, the
I'm
power
right.
corrupts
I'm right.
absolutely,
I don't need to
power corrupts
multitask.
absolutely.
You might
It's been
can't
said
read.
to me hundreds of times.
As
So I
long as I'm
agree.
pretty certain we're
But
willing
what
to
I
put
was
the dog's
saying
life at
is
risk
just the very, very
just to
scratching the surface of
exercise
the
certain
story. It's
powers,
much more
which
complicated.
legally
There's
wouldn't be
way more to systems.
wouldn't be able to
There's
obtain them
a great
power.
study, I think, that really captured this, where these economists took students and they had them roll a dice 42 times. And then they said, every time you get a 6, we're going to give you some money. But you get to report how many 6s you have rolled, so you can lie. Now, using statistical methods, they could figure out who was lying.
I know I'm right. I cannot win.
And when they did this
The
study in
system,
India, where the
the
system
system is
was pretty
designed
unclean in terms of
as much as it is in favor of those who are in control of it. But the reality of the system is any person who can find the law against the system or prove that the system was used with ill intent.
What was it in the States, bro? What was it in the States?
That's it, yeah. And you can never win this.
I know, but I think we know the answer.
As long as we can prove say it's all intent. Having the dog and harming the dog for no reason at all, without trying to help the dog and save the dog, bring a different problem to the situation. Yeah? Having the dog, and just because the dog pissed me off just to harm the dog is wrong. Because even if we intended and even if we planned it, me not voicing it before it happened, it brings a different thing to the situation. Must catch it. Yeah. Me voicing that I want the dog to be returned before by seeing what will happen as a result, it shows that I'm mentally there. And actually it shows that I'm smarter than the average person. The average person wouldn't see what would happen and what this know where it would lead to in the future. You cannot beat me on nothing here. The ability to see where something would lead to. It shows that we stand no chance here. Because even if it wasn't intent, yeah, or not, still identifying that the dog would be in danger as a result if this carries on shows enough. It shows that everybody watching would be aware of it, innit? It shows that everybody who is watching would be aware. You people allow it to carry on by not telling her it is best to take the dog back and reimburse her for it if that's the case. It means you don't have the intention of having the dog harmed from the very beginning. You know the dog was going to be harmed. And that is what when we just got called up and say it was intentional. As long as me not physically beat the dog with piece of stick, just a notion there. As long as me not beat the dog with piece of stick physically, they can never win. Me leaving the dog outside is not intentional in any way, shape, or form. Even if I say it. Even if I say it, it's still not intentional. Because somebody with OCD, you need your house to be a particular way all the time. And anything that disrupts that particular way will be a stressor. Stress over time usually leads to some sort of violent reaction. You man are done already. Done. A game over on you, man. You know what I mean? And the fact that even when it gets to that courtroom, all I have to prove it was only intention. I'm sure that that is a scientific fact that stresses affect people. As long as I can prove that everybody was born free, when you come here with your police, what are you going to say in that interview? I mean, what are you going to say? What questions are you going to ask about the treatment of the dog? All I have to tell and say, well, you warned that if this continues, this is where it leads to. Yeah? Were you warned? That's it. Was anybody here one? Was social media one? Was the woman who sold the dog one? Was any? The only people that don't care about something is people who knew what's happening. I mean, the only people that don't care about something, the only people that don't wouldn't care, because she should care about the dog. She sold the dog. She need to. What is it? When you're selling an animal, you're supposed to ensure that you're selling the animal to someone who would take care of the dog. You don't sell an animal just for the money. She would be stopped from selling animals herself or have restrictions placed around her in the long term. And the only reason why she wouldn't care about that is because she's not actually an animal breeder. I mean, the only time, and it's proven, as long as she don't answer, it proves that she does not care about the animal. And then it's her intention. It wasn't their intention. But I did tell her, me and I spoke quite a few hours on the phone where things were said. And if she turns out to be an actual nurse for the NHS, conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. If it turns out to be an actual employed nurse or any state of the state, conflict of interest. Simple as that. She turns out to be an actual conflict of interest. Whether or not she is, the people who are monitoring me, whatever is going on, they would have saw that it's obviously having an effect on me to the point I'm trying to return the dog. Why would she not want the dog returned? Is the £300 worth more than her than the safety of the animal? And game over. Game over. And when she said Miss John or the fuck with this one, eh? And them said Miss John, was there any indication that this man was going to hurt this animal? Was she gonna say no? She can't say no. It is blatantly in text. I mean, blatantly. That's a no chance. I mean, blatantly, as long as the intention is plain inside, it's called a stressor. And somebody with OCD, people with OCD have dogs, but they have a certain type of dog. Dogs who are well behaved. And for her to give a dog that is not well behaved, she was 411. Game over, mate. She was 411 about the situation. And that proves that she did not care and that it was with intent. Everybody knows about OCD. The doctors know. All the doctors, the NHS, everybody who keeps turning up here. Everybody knows who keeps turning up here. So when they ring, oh, we have an appointment. Well, somebody sold me a dog and it's affecting my mental health. I need a dog return. They gotta go there and make sure so the dog return and get the money back. Because not having your money back would also be a stressor as well. It's a dirty say, but I have to give up. It's as simple as that. There's no way out for it. And I'm certainly not being quiet about it. Which is the end of this thing. I personally don't like it, and I'm say power corrupt, so I'm say power corrupts, and unfortunately, human, just like human will have power and do things, well, you exercise that power. Just because mental are irritated. How come I say so irritated? Exercise that power and get rid of it. Just like how you would do it, do that and get rid of this one. All I know how to job I get demoted back down to walking around, bitch. Back to normal uniform, no more special detective. Well, that's all gone, get demoted back down, and now people would know who's what. Now lose anonymity and the whole thing. Fucked, and everything you do, because my motives is clear, my intention is clear. And all the threats I send, you still can't prove what my intention is. And food safety don't matter over the animal safety. The police don't have rights over people. The police safety comes second when it comes to the law. The police safety comes second when it comes to public safety. The police is paid to put themselves in harm's way to protect the general public. So you can't protect yourself before the community. Simple as that. There's no way out for human being. And everybody knows. The bosses know. Everybody involved knows. It's fucked up. Everybody knows. Because the more you do, the more evidence you get anyway. Gotta be, isn't it? That's it. You just can't be denied no matter what. I said, as long as me make that clear to her, say the dog is an issue and I'd like to return the dog and get my money back. That's it. If she chooses to ignore it, she knew what she was doing. And if you man, when it's proven, obviously proven that you man are involved, you just like how you man go around and tell everybody that, oh, for safety reasons, you need to stay away from this guy. For the same reason you tell people that, guess what? Yeah, forget the dog, but exactly what I did by getting that dog. I mean, I just had no chance. And even is very lucky. Even the way you want to say, it's also luck. Because I knew I would have done something. What I was truly expecting is to never get the dog. That's what I was really expecting. What I was truly expecting was never to receive the dog. That's it. I thought every time he comes close to getting the dog, they would just stop contacting. That's what I thought was going to happen. Which would have proved the point anyway. I mean, I got stuck in that situation where I had to let him get the dog. Otherwise, it would have proved it, innit? How many people could I do where the people consistently stopping me from getting the dog? I mean, there's no chance. It worked out better than I could have imagined. It worked out much better than I hoped for. The plan really was to have and stop me from getting the animals every time. We sure that somebody was stopping it. But it worked out better than I hoped. But no, because I've got mild OCD, whether I don't want to wipe that off of the record and say he was never diagnosed with it, who decided that? It worked out better than I could imagine. Keep on getting that. It worked out better than I imagined. Because the plan was we would never give me the dog. I was sure say, oh, I'll contact a million of them and not one of them wants to give me the dog. Which would have proved that somebody was saying something. Or somebody was stopping it. But this way it worked out much better. The type of dog that made me get out of all the dogs I could get. The type of dogs when I used certain tactics and principles to, I guess, lead me down a track. Because them things are possible. You find it with animals who people hurt. So herd animals, sheep and goat are dealt with in the same type of tactics we use. The same way them get the sheep and the goat to walk certain places and do certain things. It's the same way you can get somebody to buy certain things. Knowing the type of dog you wanted by putting the dog out there as the cheapest, you're more likely to go because who expects to get a dog who can behave like that? It's only sheltered dogs that behave like that. And people usually put them dogs in shelter because they can't be trusted to put them in shelter. You don't buy a dog that's like that because you'd have to be informed that the dog had them behavior. I don't care boy about it. I can't, I'm just on the translate. And everything we're gonna do is primary motive because I know more get rid of it. I know that would lead to scrutiny and over honor, and it would also lead to other people. Other times these things will happen, case come up. So all this the British government and their special operations that they're taking place in these communities. How often does the person end up in prison as a result of it, or end up in the mental house, or even that? Has there ever been one special operation where nothing happens and the person going to live a normal life? I don't think so. Nobody thinks so either. No, they simply come dwelling in a situation that's bigger than none of it. So the people I'm sending here, they wanted to get rid of it. They couldn't get rid of it without there being problems with it. Or to be proven that there's problems and issues around the subject. Can't believe she win that. Yeah. They wanted to get rid. They knew what was happening. They know one never let them beat me. No trust. Not yesterday or today. Because the principle of how Uni did it, they knew how I fought. They knew how my mind works. And they knew I'm not a person to back down. So they knew it was inevitable. And the way I'm going to go about it, they knew what would happen. Because any sort of influence, an idea put in my head or through media, any way you want it, they know it would have caused a problem for me. We were basically self-destructed and just couldn't see it. Any man was going to self-destruct based upon the principle we want to use. Just like when we thinking smart and can do research and figure out things, they knew the type of person I am. And they realized, oh, he's obviously destroyed. They knew. And you know, so it makes sense because they on how when you think about things, they obviously would have known so it wouldn't have been the right thing for me. You know, I have to take the job back and I have no choice. You know, I have to take the job back. There's no choice in the matter, and if you don't, it's obviously intentional. Because then they can scream, say, oh, he doesn't know, he doesn't know. Well, when the dog dies, what happened? Are you gonna put somebody in a prison for that? Or somebody with OCD, yeah, what do you do? Why should I give away my money? You know what I mean? That was hard education in there. That's a good, very good move. Whatever that is. Yo, I'm sick of you. Stop trying to go on the table, bro. That's why you no, you end up. That's what I'm saying. They have to take it. It's simple. I can already see it in it. You keep going on the chair because you're scared, man. You have to take it, man. Simple. I want my money back. Nobody's taking it without giving me money back. If the government tries to wait till the consumer 14 days come before they come and take the dog back, then it's just gone. So it's just they ain't winning this. No chance. Understand? No chance. It's simple. If you try and wait till consumer rights runs out, then you come and try and take it through RC, RPSC, or whatever they call it. You have to come and take the dog, but there's no way I don't want the dog. I don't like the dog. I don't like his personality. Everybody knows. Anybody that I don't like, I don't deal with. So you gonna put the dog in a bad situation. You man are more guilty than me of animal cruelty, knowing the type of person I am by doing that because I was not given a choice on the situation. I ain't bothered on this one. Just got lucky there. Oh, wait, no. Why do I keep missing her in that situation? I keep missing her in that specific situation. I'm bored. Last 100. Fucking flanky again. Stop licking me, man. Go away. Smooth. Just try. Fuck you. Got you. Let's go away, man. I keep telling you, fuck off, man. Why is he always fucking doing that? How did I not get a fatal blow there? Why did I not get a brutality there? I told you, I took brutality, I'm good. Like, you- Yo, raiding swing is mid screen, back forward, back wide. I've got you on my phone screen looking at. And you just refuses to do it, I tell you. End of you man on this thing. Everybody knows, everybody knows. And the reason why you can't go into court is because you man will be out and then pure problems in it. All the people you man have murdered and put in hospital, we fucked in. And how long this special operation team has been existing in existence, which means this would say there would be a reference as if for it to be in existence, it's in use. It wouldn't be in existence if it weren't in use, so it definitely has been used. And given the behavior that humans show and exhibit, most people won't have the capacity to understand what the fuck is going on, which would mean they're lead to them taking their own life. There is prison. Yo! Prison for you, man. Simple. Let's go away, man. Leave it. Stop licking my hand. No, I don't want you to lick my hand after you do it. I said no. Every time you do something, you come and lick my hand after. Alright, definitely the last one. Can't bother. Alright, put an end to this guy once and for all. He's gonna block. Yeah. He's always blocking at the start of it. Okay, enough for you. Alright, put an end to this guy once and for all. I'm gonna put an end to this kid. I've been playing around with him the whole time. And he thinks he stands a chance as well. That's the worst part of it. Just like your dad, you gonna stand no chance. Just like your dad, you stand no chance. You out of it now? Hey, you ain't winning that. Come back from that defeat. Fuck off. Fuck off. Why is it not a brutality there? I know, have this. End of the game. Yo, stop biting the wire, please. I just can't deal with you. You're really stressing me out. Man, that's the end of that. And as always, the Thunder God wins, bitch.